All right, so at the request of a bunch of you guys in the comments, I'm going to cover the Logan Paul Impaulsive episode that they did right after the Dillon and Logan fight. I guess this came out yesterday. I watched some of it last night, watched some of it this morning, and I'm going to comment on all of it. I'm going to save the preambles because I generally do these long-ass preambles, and, you know, it's like it's a waste of everybody's time because I'm going to end up saying the same things over and over. So we're going to jump right into this thing. Now, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that, or like this video. If you've enjoyed my coverage, my unfiltered coverage of this fight before, during, and now after, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, so let's just jump right into this thing.
When you knew that he wasn't throwing shots, like really staying deep in the pocket, was it the eye, or what was preventing you from staying where you needed to be to get that knockout? Because there's a lot of people talking about it today. The fact that you survived, the fact that you won the fight, which you did in pretty respectable fashion, but weren't able to get the knockout, is something that some people were talking about.
I'll be honest, I was disappointed. It was my first thought when the fight ended. I really wanted to knock this guy out, but me and you were talking about it. The way it ended might have been the best outcome, because my ego would have been like, yeah, I knocked him out. But we got to see Dillon expose himself for the fucking clown and disgrace to combat sports that he is. He shot himself in the foot, bro. You're not even good at the thing you said you're good at. He tried to do a guillotine choke on me. He pulled guard. He tried to take me down in a boxing match. Yeah. And failed miserably.
No, you didn't fail. You stuffed it.
How
bro.
embarrassing.
You stuffed 2 takedowns,
How embarrassing.
a guiguillotine, and even got a ground and pound. Like he's asking for an MMA fight with you, and I'm watching this.
Okay, so let me just stop there. Let me just say this. I think the mindset that he exposes here by saying this is the best outcome is notable. Because what he's saying right there is he wants the worst possible outcome for Dillon versus the best possible outcome for himself. Like, you know, obviously as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what's my response going to be to this? So when he said that initially, where he's like, you know, I think we had like the best possible outcome because we got to see Dillon expose himself. Like at first I didn't really understand what he was saying. Like I thought he was saying because the fight lasted so long, he got to really expose that Dillon wasn't going to have anything. But what he meant is that because they got all the way to the end, Dillon did the thing where he tried to jump a guillotine, you know, and then got DQ'd and all that and, you know, kind of exposed himself. Okay, so it's not like a super big deal, but if you're going to compare the two things, right, we're going to go this outcome or this outcome, which one's better, right? It depends on how you look at it, okay? So my opinion, there is absolutely no possible way that there is a better outcome than Logan starching Dillon for them, you know? For them. There's no way that you are going to feel more satisfied with anything in the world than if you left him starched on the canvas, period. That's the best. Because if you really, like, look, like, what are you actually trying to accomplish here? You're trying to, like, this dude did X and this was the outcome, right? And you could say, I did that to you. You did all this, you know, yeah, about my girl. You know, believe me, we're going to get to all that Nina stuff. But like, I'm just, you know, from Logan's perspective, you did all that, my girl, and look at you now. Look at you now, you fucking pussy, unconscious bitch. You know, get the smelling salts out. Oh, hey, someone on his team. Oh, you don't even have a fucking coach. You don't even have anybody here, dude. I did this to you. You came here, you hit me in the face with a microphone when I wasn't expecting it. Now we're in there. Look at you now, dude. Look at you now. That's the best outcome for you. Now, if you're thinking your ultimate long game is you just want like the worst outcome for Dillon, you know, if it just depends, like, what do you want? You want the best outcome for you, or you want the worst outcome for Dillon? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he's right. If what he wants is Dillon to be utterly destroyed after this fight, right? This also comes back to the lawsuit. Then he's right, right? He's right. If Dillon would have just taken the loss, you know, not done the guillotine, not done any of that stuff, he's in a way better position to potentially get another fight in boxing. Much more. Still going to be a tough sell because of how heavy Dillon went on Nina, right? But he at least, you know, did a boxing match and then lost per the rule set that they had agreed to fight under, you know? When he jumps the guillotine and turns it into a fucking clown show, even in like influencer boxing, now you just took what already was going to be a tough sell and made it essentially a non-starter. He won't, like, you know, he's not, I don't think anyone's going to book Dillon for another fight. And so Logan's point is like, so honestly, I think that's very telling. to be honest with you, about the one thing that I think is a big deal, which is whether or not this lawsuit goes forward and whether they actually tried to bankrupt Dillon Danis. I think the mindset that he exposes here by saying this is the best outcome is notable. Because what he's saying right there is he wants the worst possible outcome for Dillon versus the best possible outcome for himself. All right, I talked for so long that he's talking about whether or not he would do an MMA fight with him.
Well, then he did it you.
He threw more punches than my security guard. Yeah.
Do you take an MMA fight with him?
No, you know why? I said I would if he gave me his whole purse, which is not gonna happen, obviously.
He's giving that to Nina.
That's funny. I just like, oh man. Ah! I can't. I don't understand why people are so flippant about we're going to break people financially. I don't understand that, dude. Like I don't understand it. I can't stress it. You see the color of my face just change? Like I don't understand how people don't connect the fact that breaking someone financially, especially someone like Dillon, who doesn't have a regular job, is the nuclear option on a level that is kind of unfathomable to me that they just joke around about it. I don't get it. I don't understand. It sounds to me like a person who is like level that building and you're like, dude, there's babies in there. There's babies. They're all, yeah, but they did blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, but you're not even going to think about it? I mean, I'm not saying that it's necessarily the wrong move, but you're not even going to think about it. You got fucking babies in the building, dude. Yeah, but they did this. Okay, did they kill your baby? No. Well then, what are we talking about, dude? They did something, blah, blah, blah. They didn't kill your baby. You know what I mean? It's like the most nuclear thing you could do in a person's life, especially a new father. Because what you're actually doing is you're taking food out of that baby's mouth. That's what you're actually doing. It's wrong, dude. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about
it. We'll see. But
at least Logan knows now. It's like, all right, so like he clearly got the message from, the tidal wave that hopefully I was able to contribute to, just communicating that. Like I am not trying to flex anything on this. I'm not trying to flex influence over whatever. I'm just stating a fact that as I fucking went crazy on this topic, I wasn't doing it for clout. I wasn't doing it for any other reason than that I genuinely have a deep ethical problem with that. And so, I know, obviously we know Mike saw the video. So, and then Shaq's kid is texting. I mean, I can't even imagine how many people started pounding them with like, dude, this lawsuit's fucked up. So at least Logan knows to take a step back. But here's the thing, dude. As we're going to get to in a second, his reaction to that is to go like this. I'm really out of this and Nina's going forward. And I'm going to tell you why that's a problem shortly. Let's continue though.
Nah, bro, he doesn't deserve the platform. We saw the kind of person he is.
This is a good take. Hang on. You can continue, but
I walked into the arena to booze. I left to cheers.
Which is exactly what I was saying the whole time. I mean, that's exactly what I was saying the whole time. Who cares what people are saying now? As if you win, it's like no one's gonna care. All you have to do is go win.
No one likes that dirty fight shit, bro. You came to box. Like, respect the sport. Respect me as an opponent. Back up your words. Are you a man? You can't talk that much shit for 3 months. You can't try to ruin someone's life and then come in there with that kind of performance.
And I think that's what's being echoed on Twitter right now. We had Eddie Hearn on the pre-show, and there's been a lot of back and forth conversation around fight promo. Is it just the fight game? That's the fight game. Like, what anything goes. Eddie Hearn, boxing purist, classic traditional boxing guy, sat down on the pre-show and very vividly said, like, if this was a traditional boxing bout, he would not have survived until the fight. The other opponent would have gone out and made that conversation stop. So in Eddie Hearn's not saying. So the first time I watched this, I thought I paused it and I actually thought about it. I can't remember if that was. You would do that. You've got brands. You've got a million things
what
going on.
What do you mean? You're talking about like
100%
beating his ass
street shit
in real life.
And that was Eddie Hearn's sentiment on the pre-show.
Okay, so Eddie Hearn is saying that had another fighter done that to their opponent in the pregame, all the stuff that Dillon did to to Nina or to Jake, or I'm sorry, to Logan or whatever, that it would have been handled on some street shit, is what he's saying. Okay, well, listen, Eddie Hearn might be saying that if he did that to me and my people, it'll get handled on some street shit, and don't doubt that at all. You know, look into that guy's background. But, you know, to say that just like objectively across the board. And listen, I want to make this perfectly clear. I've never been defending, supporting anything that Dillon did on Twitter. Like, that's not like my position. Now, obviously, I made like a joke, you know, like, you know, a fake interview with Logan and Nina. I've done that to John Jones. I've done that to Masvidal. I've done that to Dana. Like, I do those, you know. But I'm not like, this isn't, I'm not even, like, whether or not it's okay or not okay has never been, my only thing is like, does it deserve to be financially destroyed for what he did? Not whether or not it was okay or not okay. You know what I mean? But candidly, this conversation is about, it would get handled on some street shit. All right. Well, like, that just doesn't, I mean, that's ludicrous, dude. That's just like a ludicrous take. Eddie Hearn, I don't doubt it. There are certain fighters. I don't doubt it. I've heard, you know, that inside, I've heard that Andrew Tate behind the scenes is, you know, what you guys see is like this sliver of Andrew Tate. And that if you pulled this on Andrew Tate, you would find out the hard way that this is like, you know what I mean? I'm telling you, I've heard stories about guys who went at him for shit not even remotely close to this and had SUVs of guys showed up at their house. For real, I heard this. Credible source. So yeah, there are some guys in the fight business that will handle it street shit, you know? But just like a blanket, like, oh, anyone who did this to any fighter would have blah, blah. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, anyone would have handled it on some street shit. What about boxers who aren't in street shit? You know what I mean? They would have just all of a sudden been like, I've never gotten my hands dirty, but this time, hey, you know anybody that I can trust to commit a felony, a violent felony, you know? I mean, I know you well enough to trust whoever you recommend to me, and I'm going to give them this big brick of cash, and I want them to go maim someone in his family. They're all, it's going to cost more than that. You're all, how much more, pal? Is this going to do it? Oh, no, that's not enough. All right. Well, make sure you record this conversation. And then, you know, get it done, guy. Get it done. I want his legs destroyed. I mean, so is this the worst fight buildup ever? You know what I mean? Like, is this the worst anyone's ever done? I honestly, I don't know. You know, I don't know. But the idea that like, oh, if this was in regular boxing, it would have been handled on some street. It's like, this is dumb.
Basically, this would never have flown. So all those people saying, yo, that's the fight game. It's in fact not the fight game. It's very much a part of the new fight game, the social media antics, the content creator space. But the idea that you were going to go after another fighter's fiance for months on end, day after day after day, relentlessly without getting your shit pushed in the fucking street wasn't the case before this. And I think even more so now, after that embarrassing show up, I mean, Eddie Hearn basically said he should never fight. He should never be.
Well, that might be accurate, you know, because again, Dillon is obviously not a long-term thinker. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, well, maybe he is or maybe he isn't, but I just mean like I can't say that without knowing his goals. If his goal is to book additional fights, then obviously this was not a strong strategy to put himself in a position to do that, right? I mean, he did drive 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. That's you can't just like forget about that as if it doesn't matter. But like, you know, gosh, I don't know, dude. I mean, bottom line is like, what's the right way to say this? What is the right way to say this? When you're saying that this is like the new way of promoting fights, right? Like you said, this is very much part of the new way of promoting fights. That's a multi-layered comment, right? because the implication that you're making is that it's new because of the behavior, right? That's it. It's like, oh, no one would have dared done this before. This is just purely about the behavior. No, that's not what it is. What it is that now everyone has access to everybody's information. You know what I mean? If you're dating, you just made a public engagement video and you're like, this is my fiance, here she is. And then how do you think Dillon came upon this information? How do you think that this whole thing snowballed? You think he just like looked it up? Someone went to Dillon and said something about her, which then he went and looked up, and then this is the angle that he took. It's because she's a public figure. It's because you can look up anybody's photographs. It's because anyone in the world can send you additional information, right? Like when people are like, oh, who's feeding Dillon this information? I'm like, he's probably getting information from like 100 people now. I mean, there's probably an endless amount of people who are like, oh, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. Now to me, literally none of it was even credible. She's just taking pictures with dudes right up until Adam from Valuetainment said the thing that he said. That's where I was like, all right. So because he's not lying, you know what I mean? So like when he says, I smashed and 3 of my buddies smashed, which I'm not saying in any capacity, disqualifies her as what could be an incredible wife forever once you marry her and put a baby in her. But I'm just saying that like, once you know that, okay, once you know that he said that, and then you go and you look at some of the things that she said on the internet, you're like, okay, I could say pretty safely that these rumors that you're hearing about her are probably accurate in terms of how she rolled previously. And as soon as Dillon makes that connection, he's like, oh, dude, Logan just got engaged to a girl that blah, blah, blah. And then so he starts putting that information out there. Like, this is, I don't know, dude. Would I have done it? Fuck no. I would have, no, I would not have done that. For sure, I wouldn't have done it. Especially, for me personally, I would have looked at it like this. I'm in business with Logan Paul. He just sold his company for $10 billion. My brain is all about calculating the long game. So I would have been like, I'm not going to make an actual enemy of this guy. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I'll hype the fight, but that's some war shit right there. That's like war. That's like a forever war as soon as you do that. And it was incredible for the buildup. But me personally, I wouldn't have done it. But nonetheless, the reason that he was able to do it is because of the new landscape that we live in terms of accessibility to information and the ability to share it with everyone. Okay, like this is new. This is not, it's not just like, oh, it's only influencer boxing. It's about accessibility and ability to share information, my opinion.
Fighting again.
Who would hire this guy to fight? He sucks. He literally sucks. And to answer your question about why I don't think I was able to get the knockout, I was fighting too conservatively because in the beginning when I realized, this dude actually sucks.
Okay, hang on. And he's going to say he sucks, whatever. We're actually going to skip forward to the, I'm sorry, Nina stuff in a second. But what I wanted to say also about this part is this, right? So when he asked him, will you fight him in MMA? And he says, no, he doesn't deserve the platform. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about all the time. Like when I say what's the right way to put this, right? So when I say, I never say anything on this channel that I don't mean. Like I really mean it at the time that I'm saying it. I could change my mind, right? Like I absolutely can change my mind about things if new information comes. But if I say something on camera, I mean it. You know what I mean? Like I don't just say shit. I don't like do some kind of strategic calculation, say some shit I don't mean. I don't do that. What I will do is have something that I think and not say it on camera, right? And not put it out there. Because like as an example, if someone comes at me, right? Like somebody makes a video and they're like, Jesse on fire is a fucking blah, 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 blah. Like, listen, dude, I am not what's the right word? Like I fly off the handle, obviously, Logan made a tweet about bankrupting Dillon and I had never said anything negative about him in my entire fucking career. And I made a video titled Scumbag Trash. Logan Paul is the worst of humanity. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can flip the fuck out, obviously. That said, I don't flip out without calculating the future chessboard. So like if someone comes at me and gets me as mad as I was about that shit that Logan did flexing the bankruptcy thing, and I look and I go, okay, so what's the outcome here? I do this video, right? And it ends up helping them grow their channel, then I'm not going to do the video. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do the video. I'm not going to help this motherfucker. I don't care how mad I am at them. This is going to help them. That's what Logan's saying about he doesn't deserve the platform. You know, which is correct. If you're playing war, you want to beat him up in MMA. Well, if you take this fight, it is literally 100% upside for Dillon. He gets to fight in his actual sport. He gets another chance to redeem himself and show how professional he could be. He doesn't need to rebuild this fight. He doesn't need to do anything on Twitter. Like, that fight sells on its own. Logan doesn't need the money. He already won the fight that they had. If he gave Dillon that fight, that would be straight up art of war, fail, fucking F. So he understands what's up. All right, so now I'm going to move over to this chapter, which is I'm Sorry, Nina, and we're going to watch that.
Do you have any regret now, after it's all said and done, about choosing Dillon Danis as a partner for this dance?
Yeah, I do. I lied in the build-up when I said I didn't regret choosing him as a...
I respect the honesty, and because that was one of those things is like, I mean, do you even need to ask? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to say before, like, hey, do you regret it? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I do, man. I really would. Of course, he's building a fight, but of course he regrets it, dude.
As a partner.
Why do you regret it?
I'm eternally sorry for Nina. I'll spend the rest of my life apologizing if I have to for putting her through that kind of torment. It's inhumane what he did.
It ends up being a positive, in my opinion, for her. You know, like, I get it. She's married. Like, this is what I'm saying. Look at the outcome. Like, the outcome, not the journey to get there, the outcome. Right? Because bottom line, what business are Nina and Logan in? And I realize she is marrying Logan Paul. He just, like they said, $10 billion for Prime. She doesn't need to worry about money, but she does have a career. What's her career? What is the basis of her value? The basis of her value is her notoriety and her visibility. Nothing could have ever made her as visible and notorious as this. And you might and people want to push back on this at all, but look at her reputation. Her reputation is fine, dude. Her reputation is completely fine. Dillon fired his shot. He fired shot after shot after shot after shot. And just like I said when this was happening, and just like I said in the videos I did about the lawsuit, I was like, no one cares about this in reality. This was a funny meme that people were talking about because Logan is engaged to her and he's a huge public figure that people like to hate on. No one actually cares. Like, no one really cares. Like, you really think, does anyone, let me just ask you guys this for real. Does anyone actually think that Nina's body count is significantly higher than any of these other girls that were like swimsuit models who lived in LA and all that? Like, and I realize I may have more insight on this than you guys because Gabrielle lived with two girls in that world when her and I started dating. I know them incredibly well, and I cannot stress this enough. They fuck celebrities. That is completely standard. They're like, I mean, dude, when I was like, Gabrielle was in LA and her roommate is very, very equivalent to what Nina Agdal was or is or whatever. Dude, she fucked Kevin Dillon. She fucked Vin Diesel. She fucked Eric from Entourage. I think she fucked both those guys. She fucked two guys from Entourage. Dude. And then she married a dude who I have to tell you, like, hey, remember this movie? And he's the whatever. He was the pilot. Remember, oh my God, what's the disaster movie with the Mayan calendar? Whatever. It was a huge blockbuster. He was the Russian bodyguard, the Russian mafia bodyguard who ended up flying the plane and they flew down and crashed. That dude she married that guy for a little while. She banged Robbie Williams, that huge pop star from Britain. Okay. And I realize you guys might be like, okay, cool. So like this other girl was a slut. Okay, I get it. But what I'm saying is like the world that they come from, that's standard. Okay. And you might be like, I wouldn't want to marry that girl. Neither would I, you know? I mean, I would prefer that my wife had not banged a bunch of celebrities. I completely understand. But what I'm saying is like, there's nothing like super out of the ordinary here. And so just like in the long run, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, which is why the lawsuit is super dumb, right? It's super dumb. Anyway. And so my point is this, like, I'll apologize to her forever is stupid because this helps her. She is way more visible and way more famous now. Bottom line, give it 6 months. You think there's anyone who was going to hire Nina that won't hire her now? Ridiculous. She's going to end up coming out of this stronger, for sure, for 100% sure.
And she'll hold him accountable, but
there we go. I'm going to let him finish his thought, then we're going to come back to that.
This is my life. I dragged her into this social media fight bullshit. She did not sign up for this. I mean, she did, of course, but she didn't know, and neither did I. I don't think anyone knew the extent to which he would take things. No fight organization or promotion has ever seen this type of buildup. This is gnarly.
True.
And also, no fighter, I think, has a partner who can be exploited in the way that Nina can. She's a public figure, you know.
She's exactly like Gabrielle's roommates back then. She was just, I mean, the one I'm talking about, they are exactly the same. How famous they were, whatever, like. Anyway.
And with that comes the limelight and a lot of responsibility that a lot of fighters aren't able to do with their opponent because their wives don't have an independently self-made career.
True.
And she has that, and so he was able to exploit it in a way that worked for the buildup, but also hurts. It hurts personally.
I have different.
Yes, that's true. Now, if Logan's dad is going to make an excellent point because now, anyway, real quick, I'm going to move to their relationship now, really quick. There is no way to evaluate this if you're being objective without putting yourself in the position of Logan. If you're a man, like if you're a man, you have to just set aside any of the stuff that you think you're judging Nina for or whatever. Bottom line, as a man, Logan is engaged to Nina. He just got engaged to her. Like they just got to that point. If you're married, all right, like if you're married, you know, right? You know that there is, we're together, you know, maybe we live together. Then there's we're engaged, very, very different. And then we're married, and that's a whole different thing. The second that you're done, it's second after you're married and you sign, it feels super different. Like it's very different. But engaged is on a level there where you are going to be very, very protective of your girl. Now you would be even if it was just your girlfriend. Fiance, different ballgame. Wife, whole different thing. But he's protective of Nina, obviously, like any man is going to be. And so I understand him feeling responsible for Dillon, you know, trying to hurt Logan through his girl. Like, I get it, dude. I totally understand that, right? So evaluating Logan's kind of energy on this thing, it's like I have to just factor that in and just think to myself, all right, like how would I feel if someone did that to Gabrielle? Obviously, I would be a nuclear bomb, right? So like I understand how he feels about it. I'm trying to do this without. Okay, look, this is what I'm going to say. I don't know Nina, okay? I don't know her. I know behavior very, very well, okay? And I know how to recognize where a person's communication and behavior is coming from. Let me try to qualify exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So the people that I connect with the best are people who say exactly what they mean all the time, right? They just say what they mean. Then there are people who put on a show and they don't really understand people as well, right? Like they kind of are like, they're like, I'm, you know, I'm this person and whatever, and it's like a show. Then there are people who do say and behave in a way because they've learned that it elicits a specific kind of response from the people that they're around. And those are people who I consider to be extremely manipulative, right? Very manipulative. Hopefully I'm explaining this well, right? If I say a thing, it's because I mean it, okay? And I will listen, because if I'm wrong, I don't want to say things that are wrong. That's why I'm always listening. You know, I might look mad. I might be like this as someone's, contradicting me. But believe me, I'm listening, because if I'm wrong, I don't want to be the guy yelling about something if I'm wrong. But I mean what I say. People who have, or like, la, 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 it's just about them, and they don't really even understand the impact on people. And then option 3 is people communicate in a way and they look genuine and they come off likable and whatever. But what they're actually doing is they have learned, if I say this, they'll do that. Those kinds of people are generally extremely great salespeople. Extremely great salespeople, because they can kind of do this tactical communication thing. When I look at Nina, right, and like I said, I don't know her, but when I look at these videos of her, where she's like, oh, I don't know, I have a really strong gag reflex, stuff like that, okay? Or when she says, I sucked a dick in a stadium, or I don't really think penises are cute, so I prefer that you hide them inside me. That kind of thing. Okay, like most people see that stuff and they think, oh my God, she's a dick fiend. Like she loves sex more than anyone else. And obviously, the thing, I'm starving for whatever, like that would also indicate that. But that's not what I see. That's not what I see, okay? What I see is a girl who communicates in a way based on knowing what reaction that's going to elicit. Because if you are a girl, a pretty girl, and you talk like that, it elicits a very specific type of reaction from men, okay? Men are dick and balls, first off, always. First off, easily fooled. Easily fooled. Even if you're the smartest guy and you normally are incredible at picking out manipulative behavior, if a hot girl starts playing the sex trick on you, it breaks your brain, dude. It breaks your brain. So when I see that, I know that she is a person who she says things to elicit a very specific type of response from people. Okay? That's what I see from that. Which seems more likely? That she's the horniest girl on earth and she just can't even help herself but just talk about her, sex. And I know that's not true, because the thing on ridiculousness or whatever, when she did that to the 2 guys, she says, I don't know, my gag reflex is really strong. And they go, oh, I don't even know what we're talking about. You think that she didn't know that was going to be the reaction? You think she didn't know that? So to me, based on those things, she is a girl that will communicate in a specific way because she knows that is going to elicit a specific reaction from the dudes. Okay? Now, does that mean that she always does that? No. But generally speaking, people who do that do it often. They do it often. And so knowing that as a baseline, I could tell you pretty unequivocally that she took this situation with Dillon, which she was probably furious about. Furious. And she played the exact type of role that she needed to play to elicit the exact kind of response that she wanted from Logan and his family. Okay? That's my hypothesis based on my experience with people like that. Okay? I don't know. Maybe everything seems genuine. But I'll tell you, I saw a clip of Nina at the fight, okay? And I was going to do a video about this, but I didn't think I would be able to explain it well enough to where it would just come off kind of not explained well. She was walking in the stadium and she walked from here to there and she's walking. She has security around her and it shows her. And then she's about to go into, either a box or wherever she was. And she does this little shimmy to the music. And I just looked and I'm like, she's not embarrassed. She's not nervous. She is completely confident. Like she's not tripping at all about this. So either she's genuinely not tripping about this, and they do say that later on, or she is vindictive. She's played the this hurts me, this hurts. I mean, of course it hurt her. I just think that if I was going to guess, I would bet that she has said and done whatever she had to in order to get Logan to feel, the way she wanted him to feel. I don't know. I'm doing a bad job of explaining this. Maybe I'll edit it out anyway. But nonetheless, bottom line is this. He's leaving her with the lawsuit. Now he's saying she's going to make him, and she's going to hold him accountable. He said that. And he very clearly is staying away from being responsible for this. Okay? Now, how do I feel about that specifically? I think that's bullshit. I think it's a bullshit move. Now, Jesse, so what would you think? What do you mean? What are his other options? Well, he's got two options. He can either do exactly what he's doing, which is now completely step back and be like, Nina's holding him accountable. Or he can be like, listen, I fully support her and we're holding him accountable. And guess what? They're both wrong. They're both wrong. Either you're taking the pussy way out now, where you found out that there's all this backlash about it. And so you're like, it's not even me. It's all Nina. That's pussy. You know that you could end this if you wanted to. And if you couldn't, that's a bad sign. I have no reason to think that their relationship is anything other than what they say. And they say it's even stronger because of this. I have no reason to doubt that. But if that's the truth, and you're on as solid footing as you think you are, then you should be able to literally just go, Nina, listen, like, I'm getting a lot of backlash here. I don't think there's any upside here. I think that you should just drop it. And she do it. You should be able to do that. But if you let it go and then you just kind of go, oh, this is all her, and the backlash that's sitting there on the lawsuit, and you're just letting her just roll with it on her own. I thought we're trying to get rid of negative press for her, right? How do you think that's going to play out? You think Dillon's going to be quiet about the lawsuit? You really think that? You think Dillon's going to take this quietly? He's going to go to court? How do you think it's going to go when Dillon finds out? Let's say you win. How do you think that's going to go? You think Dillon's going to be quiet about how much he just got ordered to pay, or the fact that he's going to be bankrupt, or any of that stuff? You think that's going to be quiet? If you're worried about her reputation and whatever, like you're saying that you are, which is the basis of the lawsuit, well, clearly not, dude. Clearly not. You got everybody hitting up your best friend about it. They're so pissed. You know what I mean? And it's like this, dude. At the end of the day, why? This is just pure vindictive now. Revenge. That's the only reason that you would do it. Dillon was going after her. She had exactly what she wanted. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily her being nefarious or anything, but she wants to marry Logan Paul. Period. Now, that could be because she fell head over heels in love with him and they're perfect together and they have the strongest relationship ever, or another reason. I don't know. I don't know her, but she wants to marry Logan, and Dillon was attacking that. And Dillon was very clearly putting things out that was putting that in jeopardy. Right? You guys are saying she doesn't give a shit about what people say on the internet. All right? Now, so why are you doing this? Because at the end of the day, what did Dillon really do? Like, what did Dillon, for real, what did Dillon do? He shared a bunch of photographs and a bunch of memes that made fun of her for being with a bunch of guys. That's it, dude. That's it. Now, if you can paint him into a corner with the laws around revenge porn or whatever, like, okay, but you understand that if I Google Nina Agdal nude, because they're saying that, oh, he shared a naked photo of her. Okay, well, if I Google Nina Agdal nude, there are literally, I'm going to just do this behind the scenes here and just count, okay? Like, literally, I'm just going to count and just, count how many pages there are. All right, so we go on an image search. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my God. God, she's so hot, dude. Jesus. God, she is so... Okay, anyway. Congratulations, guy. This one where she's like laying on the bed naked on her stomach, the swimsuit thing, is ridiculous. But listen, dude, I'm not, okay, now I'm just scrolling, still there, scrolling. I mean, they're endless, dude. Absolutely endless. They're endless. And so my point is like, what did he do? He shared a bunch of images that were already public. What you don't like is you don't like that the implication of what he shared. You don't like that he painted you in a light that maybe you deserved. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know if you do or don't. I'm just saying, like, he shared publicly available photos. And everybody being like, oh, or that side being like, what he did is so dirty and so grimy. I mean, I can understand how it would seem that way to you guys. Again, it's not something I would do. I'm not trying to make enemies. Enemies are bad for business, dude. But what did he really do? I am literally looking at 100 different nude photos of Nina right now. So, like, what's the charge here exactly? You know what I mean? You just don't like the implication that he made. And that's worth bankrupting him? It's Dillon Danis, dude. Right? It's like, is he on your level? Seriously, is Dillon Danis on your level? Logan Paul and now Nina Agdal. Is Dillon Danis on your level? Not at all, dude. You don't need to sue him, okay? You don't need to do that. You're already winning. You've beat him in every single category. Like, dude, one time, I've told this story a million times. This is like my perfect example of this kind of thing, dude. Long time ago, not recent, but like long time ago, I was at a party with a bunch of my friends. Okay. I go outside. I go to give my buddy a hug. It's actually, I went to go give my buddy a hug whose sister is married to Mike McDaniel, Dolphins coach. But I go to give him a hug. And as we're walking towards each other, I accidentally bumped this guy's arm who was holding a beer. And he's talking to one of my other friends and it spilled on him. And I stopped. He's this tiny little dude. Really little guy. The guy's probably 5'5" or something. He's little. And I just went to, and I immediately grabbed his shoulder. I'm like, I'm really sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I was not cocky, not smiling, no nothing. I was genuinely apologizing. I'm like, I'm really sorry about that, dude. And he took the rest of his beer and he threw it in my face. And so just immediate calculation. I looked at him. My friend who was talking to him knew him, and he just went, "Don't do it." And I just looked at him like, this guy's an unworthy adversary. You know what I can't beat, like, if this was a guy my own size and he did that, I would have whipped his fucking ass or fought him and lost, one or the other. But I looked and this guy was literally 5'5". And I'm like, he's not a worthy adversary. And so I took my open hand and I slapped him as hard as I could across the face. He's not worthy. I'm not going to beat this little guy up. Not on my level. Not a worthy adversary. Slapped him. Like, you guys have beat Dillon. You've already slapped him. You don't need to beat the living fuck out of him. It's not necessary. You've already won. Anyway, well, here's the last thing that I wanted to show because I think this is notable too.
Take on this, because I was in there with you guys when it was deep, right? I was in Puerto Rico. I think what he did was a gift for you too, because the bond that he built. I mean, the fact that you guys have gotten so close and went through so much so early in your relationship, from here on out for the rest of your life, there's literally nothing. There's fucking nothing that will bother you guys. There's nothing that will break you, because I watch you two just fucking merge.
Fair.
So you got.
Listen, the reason I wanted to put this in there is because no one knows this better than me and Gabrielle. No one. People look at us, okay, like anyone who interacts with us, anyone who spends any significant time looking at us, talking to us, whatever, goes, I don't like, you guys have the marriage that everybody wants. And it's true. We've been together. This is going to be our 15-year anniversary. Her and I are in lockstep always. We never fight. I bang her like this. It's the second date that we ever went on 3 times a week. We have the best relationship ever. We share, like, we both bring in money. We both support each other. I mean, she basically does everything with the kids, but whatever. I mean, not everything, but we have always had a great relationship. Where we went from great relationship to unbreakable relationship is exactly the point when I was talking to you guys about the bankruptcy thing. Where I went from, I mean, I didn't have money when we got married. As a matter of fact, this tattoo right here is, you can't see it, but it's a nickel and three pennies, 8 cents. The reason I got that tattooed on me, and then it says Fidelis, which is loyalty in Latin. And the reason I got that tattoo is because the week before we got married, I had this huge tax liability, whole other thing. Entrepreneurship, dude. You know, this was like 9 years prior, or 8, 7, I don't know, whatever. Like, this was many years prior to the next thing happened. And the IRS went in and levied all my money. All right. Now I got it back, but I had 8 cents in the bank when we got married. 8 cents. Okay. So that's why I got that. But beyond that, you know, obviously I got that back and I built ourselves up to where I was a multimillionaire. And then I went from multimillionaire to bankrupt. No idea what I was going to do, and had to go through all of that to build myself back to where we are now. And believe me, like, that did not come easy at all. And she stuck with me without any, like, I never had to worry about where her head was at, because she was completely ride or die forever. And so what he's saying, fact, you know. Now, again, I don't know, you know, I mean, this right here, I don't know what it was like on the other side, but I'm going to say pretty safe that this is pretty small potatoes compared to, like, you know, what you go through when you have multiple kids and you have absolutely no idea what you're going to do financially ever again, and you're bankrupt. Like, trust me, that is more hardcore than, like, you know, this is embarrassing for us on Twitter. I'm not discounting it completely, but, like, you know, but what his dad is saying is a fact, dude, is a fact. You can't, like, if you're a guy who's got fuck you money, you meet your girl, you get married, you might, you know, like, you guys get along really well. You might think you have a perfect marriage. You don't really know. You can't really know. You can't really know unless you have had your life fall apart to the point where you can't provide anything for her anymore. Like, you, the version of you that she has always been able to rely on is gone for a while. Like, you're a broken person now. Not just broke, you are a broken person that needs to, like, rebuild yourself from trauma that is hard to even wrap your brain around. I mean, this is the first time you guys are hearing this. I had a reality show getting set to make with a you know, a company that had $15 million in funding right behind it. We would have had hundreds of millions of dollars in free advertising had the show gone on. The road that it appeared to be was, this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. And I'll tell you one other thing about that in a second. But that went all the way to, I sold my company for $8.5 million and thought that was a failure. And then through this, and this, bankruptcy. Okay. Like, the drop was steep and violent, and it just broke me apart. And I had to rebuild myself in every sense of that, you know, word. I want to tell you guys something about that, though. I've never told anybody this ever, except, I mean, Gabrielle knows, but no, I've never told anybody this, and I'm going to tell you guys now. So I don't know if you guys have seen the TV show, The Fall of the House of Usher, one of the best shows I've ever seen. So relevant to this. So I remember when, at the exact same time that I was going through the thing where the IRS levied my account, right? I just had this kind of like make-believe conversation with myself in my mind. And it was kind of like this, like, what would you give for yada yada? I didn't have any kids at the time. And it was like, would you give up your firstborn kid to be a billionaire? Now, I had no kids, you know? And I was like, oh, I would do that. Yeah. For that, you know, I was financially desperate. I didn't know what it meant. You know, this is just a fake conversation I had in my mind. And I knew that I had made that deal kind of in my mind, just kind of going through it, right? And as soon as life started looking like it was going towards that, now I had a kid. You know, like, at that point, I did have a kid. My kid was 4. 4? Yeah, about 4. And so when the world started converging to where it was like, I actually can see a direct line to billionaire for real, like not hard to understand how it was going to happen. Have this company in this sector, have a television show that's going to series on Esquire, and we have a better product. Like this is, and not only am I going to be a billionaire, I'm going to be like very famous because I'll have the show simultaneous with this. And I remember having this back of my, like, what if this is this, like, what if this is this deal? And I was like, I take it back, dude. I fucking take it back. If this is this deal, I fucking take it back. And I took it back. Now I have absolutely, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that like, that's what caused it or that's what didn't cause it, but that really happened on all of my children's lives. That really happened. I would give up my firstborn, and then when it started shaping up, I was like, I take it back. If that's what this is, I fucking take it back. So I don't know. Kind of irrelevant, actually. But Jesus, I've been talking long enough. All right, I love you guys. Peace.